We're very excited that Congressman Maloney is here to have some comments relative to what I refer to as the domestic terrorism that's been taking place in our school district over the last 6 months. We are now at 12 threats and counting. It could have been more over the last few days, but because we've been doing upgrades to our telephony or telephone systems, we've been identified some that probably would have come through but have been able to get blocked. The long and short of it is, and the reason I refer to it as domestic terrorism is that these are individuals, we think, from inside our own country, for a better term, that are terrorizing our students in our community. It's as simple as that. As you know, we have had other elected officials such as Senator Schumer come, who's working on the issue with the FCC, and today you're going to hear a different avenue to solutions from Congressman Maloney, which we appreciate, because the long and short of it is, however and whatever the solution is, we want to get at it, because it's time that these types of crimes are considered true crimes to the point where you can marshal virtually any resource necessary to capture and deal with these individuals. It's time that the issue, for me anyway, that the issue of protecting individual privacy rights of somebody committing a crime has to stop. So with that, again, thank you very much for coming, and I appreciate the Congressman being here to have conversation about his strategies. So, Congressman, thank you very much.
Thanks. Thanks, guys. Come on in. Well, thank you all for being here. So look, this is about saying we've had enough and we are not powerless. This community is not powerless to defend itself against this kind of domestic terrorism. What I'm announcing today is that is several important steps. First, those of us on the federal level have been working very closely together to get an answer out of the FCC on a critical waiver necessary to catch the actual perpetrators involved with the incidents that have been affecting this community. I'm happy to announce that working with Senator Schumer and Senator Gillibrand, we're going to get an expedited hearing through the FCC to get that waiver granted, which should speed up the process of identifying who's been responsible for the incidents of swatting here. Second, I'm working directly with the FBI Director, James Comey, who's hearing from me relentlessly. The local office of the FBI has been hearing from my office as well. And we have, so that we get the right resources dedicated at the federal level to assisting local law enforcement that in many instances just doesn't have the capacity necessary to deal with this kind of threat. Third, my legislation that I will be introducing immediately will designate this type of criminal activity as an act of domestic terrorism. That sounds serious because it is. When someone engages in this type of criminal activity, they trigger a whole chain reaction of events in the school district and in local law enforcement that is extremely dangerous and criminal. Someone is going to get hurt in this community because of these irresponsible and criminal acts. It is a miracle that no one's been hurt to date, and it's only because of the extraordinary professionalism of the people who've been involved here locally. And I want to commend local law enforcement. The chief is here. I want you to hear from him, but also Dan Depew, Mayor DeStefano, and all the people who've been working together on this, because this is a terrifying criminal act that's been going on. My kids go to public school. We had a shutdown, we had a lockdown not long ago because we had a shooter come up from Long Island who killed himself in Cold Spring, even though he shot up his workplace on Long Island. It was a very frightening time for a lot of us in a local community like that, in a small town. And you really thank goodness for the kinds of emergency procedures and lockdown and law enforcement response that's necessary when that type of incident occurs. We have all seen in our country numerous incidents of mass shootings. Right next door in Newtown, Connecticut, we saw one of the most horrific mass shootings in our country's history. What we have learned because of the frequency of these events is that time is absolutely critical. And so when you engage in these false alarms, it is a classic boy that cried wolf problem. You degrade readiness, you degrade preparation and response time, And those seconds matter enormously in the event of an actual emergency. It is also terrorizing this community. So it's wrong, it's criminal, we've had enough, and we are not powerless to stop it. So by working with the FCC to identify the actual swatters in this case, by resourcing it properly through the FBI, both at the national level and locally, and by redesignating this crime, not just with higher penalties, though higher penalties we need, and I know others have called for that, and I would echo those calls, but by locating it properly within the federal technology and law enforcement machinery at our disposal to catch these criminals and prevent people from doing this in the future. In my role in Congress, I've had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with our intelligence agencies, with our national security professionals. I've been to the Joint Strategic Operations Center at the NSA. I've been to a lot of classified briefings, and I understand the extraordinary capabilities we have at the federal level to keep us safe from acts of terrorism. That's good. We need to use those resources to protect our communities against these acts of domestic terrorism. We need to call it what it is. We need to go after it like the crime that it is, and we need to do it in time to do us some good. So that's what I'm doing, and that's what needs to happen to help this community. I want you to hear from, who wants to speak first? I want you to hear from, Dan, you want to come up first? I want to hear from some of the local officials about what these efforts mean and what we can do working together.
Thank
Come
you,
on up, Dan.
Congressman. I
You bet.
appreciate it. It's an honor to be able to be here today. Welcome all to the town of Wallkill. You're all honorary Wallkillians for the moment. But this issue, it really transcends political boundaries. It transcends different groups. I've seen law enforcement with the same worry and same care over this issue as the parents. And I can tell you, I've seen the teachers and the administrators of the Middletown School District, which is only 1/5 of the total school districts in the town of Wallkill, totally be distraught over their commitment to trying to deal with this. I've known Ken Eastwood for a little while now. Dr. Eastwood, I think, is a pillar in our education community. I think that the attacks that have been levied against him and the school board that they're not doing enough are really shoddy and not fair, short-sighted. But they are done out of fear, and we are never our best when we are acting out of anger or fear. What is happening behind the scenes that the congressman is talking about, what's happening behind the scenes that the senator has come to our aid with, and the things that Dr. Eastwood, his staff, the Middletown Police Department, the town of Wallkill Police Department, the FBI, the Sheriff's Office, and the state police, all working together in synergy to do, are sometimes things that we cannot talk about publicly. But I will tell you, this school district, and I do a lot with the school district, this school district is prepared in so many ways to protect your kids. The fact that I'm here so much and I sign in every time I'm here, and that doesn't matter which branch I'm at. I think they even made you sign in today, Congressman. That's a good thing. And all the baseline levels that the school does and above that to protect your children should give you a little bit of solace and faith in this district in the work that they're trying to do to deal with this threat. But this threat is greater than just things that we can do simply in this way. And that's why we have had to reach out to our friends and our respected leaders at the national level because we need help. And I've always called this domestic terrorism, and I am very, very pleased that the congressman and others are using that terminology because that's exactly what it is. And how timely is this as we are dealing, as the FBI and Director Kumi now are dealing with the issue over smartphones and privacy. And this in itself is another issue like that, where law enforcement needs to have the tools that it needs to defend our way of life, our way of life. I feel for the parents. I'm a parent. There was a parent here. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate that.
Likewise.
And I understand the frustration amongst parents. I really do. But I can tell you I've been in meetings with some of the finest people of this administration. Their commitment is solid to protect these kids. And I thank all the members of law enforcement for the work that you're doing each and every day to help us through this difficult time. Congressman, thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Dan. Mr. Mayor? Yes, sir. You want to say something?
Yeah, I'll be brief, just to reaffirm our commitment in the city of Middletown, to the efforts both by the school district, by Senator Schumer and Congressman Maloney.
Call me a lot of things.
While there may be some disagreements on issues, specific issues, we are totally in agreement with the approach both the school district has taken, Senator Schumer is taking, and Congressman Maloney has taken in regards to the domestic terrorism issue. we want to reaffirm our support, that we stand in unity with everyone, that we're going to continue our support from the grassroots level, from the parents, up to the highest levels of office here in our country, that we want to reaffirm our support for the efforts that they're making, but more importantly, we want to address the concerns of the students and the parents. I said in my State of the City, I would never understand how I would react to an act of an active shooter in my child's school. And the fear that goes through the parents and through the kids and what they have to go through is definitely an act of domestic terrorism. So I want to thank Congressman Maloney for his efforts here today, and we really need to push this because I think we're only getting a hearing at the FCC. So I think they need to hear from not only the school district's petition, but I think our elected officials on every level need to hear how important this is not only to our city, but nationwide, because the Middletown School District is not the only impacted school. We're probably the most impacted, I think, in the country, but this is happening all over. So we need to keep the pressure on. We make sure that the hearing, the FCC hears our voice loud and clear, on not only on the national level, but on the local level from the parents on. So I want to thank Congressman for being here today, and also thank all law enforcement for all their efforts. Thank Dr. Eastwood for the opportunity to come today also in the Middletown School District, and applaud them for their efforts. Thank you.
So Victoria?
Yes,
Lang.
Victoria Lang.
So this is Victoria Lang, who's parent. Go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon, Middletown families and friends. My name is Victoria Lang. As a member of the PTO, it is a pleasure to belong to the Maple Hill Community and Middletown District. The recent events have been very, very frustrating for all of us, parents, administration, and extremely our children. When we are on board, we definitely try to get the most safe concern of every kid in the building when these swatting calls come in. The multiple swatting calls concerns as it interferes with our daily routine and interrupts the major learning of our environment and every kid in our district. The school district has taken every threat very, very seriously, makes every attempt to put systems in place to support the kids in getting back to a normal routine and ensure that everyone feels safe. Some parents have asked to have SROs to present in the building. I understand it will put some minds and families at ease. I, as a parent, will feel some kind of ease, but do not think that that will cause the calls from stopping and coming into our school. Definitely not. We need to share the focus of law enforcement to stop the threatening calls. As parents, let's stand together along with our district and government officials to push the FCCs to give us a waiver to help the law enforcement agencies stop this from continuing happening to our district, our family, and our kids. Our education is dearly being harmed. To all the families, we continuously have written letters, emails, made phone calls to support this movement. Thank you all. Our voices are truly being heard. Our efforts are truly appreciated. Your efforts are truly appreciated, parents, for continuing to reach out to everyone. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact our Maple Hill PTO at any given time through email or phone calls. We open any questions, any concerns. We are always open to address them and try the best to reach out to every parent in the community. Again, I thank everyone's presence today here and hope we could get this to the very bottom soon. Thank you all. It's been a pleasure, likewise.
Thanks a lot. You guys want to speak? You all right? So let me just say a couple things and we'll take your questions. First of all, thank you, Victoria, for speaking on behalf of parents. You know, I'm a parent. I got a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old in Haldane School District on the other side of the river. It's scary. It's scary stuff. And we are not powerless. We are not defenseless. We do not have to sit by and take this. We can act. If Victoria's child or a child in this school district were in trouble in a different setting, if they were lost at sea, if we couldn't find them in the woods, we would marshal every federal and state and local resource necessary to find that child and to keep them safe. That's what we need to do on this problem. We have the tools to do this. Dan made a good point about the issues we're seeing with technology and privacy, but let's be clear. In this case, there should not be encryption hurdles or technology hurdles that are insurmountable. What you have is you have a disconnect between the capacity of local law enforcement and the ease with which you can roll up someone who's engaging in this. Those capacities exist at the federal level. We need to blow through the barriers that are in our way. We need to resource it properly. And what my legislation does, which is new, is that it designates the crime of swatting as an act of domestic terrorism. That means that federal resources can be deployed to address this threat. In particular, there will be a task force at the FBI dedicated to stopping this criminal activity, and that task force can draw on resources and can coordinate with the Joint Terrorism Task Force, which is well-resourced and well-equipped to deal with these types of threats. That's the answer to stopping this going forward on a national level. Locally, we need to get the hearing at the FCC. We've got that expedited, that's good. We need to get a favorable disposition there so we can blow through those barriers to get to the bottom of who's committing these acts here locally. So working together, we can get there. But I understand the frustration, I understand the fear.